Have you ever really thought about mushrooms? I mean, they're so much more than just a pizza topping. They're this incredible bridge between ancient medicine, gourmet food, and sometimes even deadly poison. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep. We're going to follow the entire journey from a single tiny spore all the way to a beautiful harvest, and we'll uncover the secrets and the dangers of these amazing fungi along the way.
So, why all the fuss about mushrooms anyway? Well, in this first part, we're going to get into their incredible history. We're talking food, we're talking medicine, and a whole lot of mystery. We'll even touch on the unique science that makes them so powerful. Okay, let's kick things off. Let's start with a real superstar, the shiitake mushroom. I mean, who doesn't love that rich, savory flavor? It's no wonder they're the second most popular mushroom on the planet. But get this, they're also a medicinal powerhouse. For literally 2,000 years, traditional Chinese medicine has called the shiitake the king of mushrooms, and for good reason. It's got this incredible knack for boosting the immune system.
Now, picture ancient China. There's this mushroom so powerful, so revered, it was called the divine mushroom of immortality. This wasn't something you just slice up for a stir fry. The reishi mushroom is actually pretty tough and bitter, but its legendary health benefits made it a treasure so rare it was literally reserved only for royalty.
So what's their secret sauce? Where does all this power come from? Well, it's all about their biology. You might think of mushrooms as some kind of weird plant, but here's a mind bender for you. They're in their own separate kingdom, and genetically, they're actually closer to us humans than they are to plants. Yeah, and that unique biology is what lets them create this whole arsenal of amazing compounds, making them a fantastic food, a potent medicine, and just endlessly fascinating.
So you're hooked, right? You're thinking about growing your own. Well, the very first step is a fork in the road. You've got to decide what you're really after. Are you in it for the fun and satisfaction of being a hobbyist? Or do you have that entrepreneurial spark and you're maybe looking to make a business out of it?
As a hobbyist, oh man, it's all about the pure joy of it. Watching your mushrooms grow and then getting to eat something you grew yourself, it's just so rewarding. But if you start thinking about selling them, it's a whole different ballgame. Suddenly, you're focused on things like yield, efficiency, profit margins, and how to scale up. Your mindset has to completely shift.
And here's a little nugget of information that could be a huge deal if you're thinking about selling. In a lot of places, like Germany for instance, growing and selling fresh mushrooms is just considered basic farming, primary agricultural production. And you know what that means? You might not even need a special business license, which makes getting started so much easier.
All right, ready to roll up your sleeves? If you're just starting out, you absolutely have to try the oyster mushroom. It's what the experts recommend for a reason. These things are just so forgiving. Their root network, the mycelium, it grows like a beast, so it naturally fights off most of the bad stuff, the contaminants. Plus, they grow fast and they're not picky eaters at all. You can grow them on really cheap stuff like straw, which makes them the perfect choice for a beginner. Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's get into the science of the grow. Before we can get any mushrooms, we have to understand what they need. See, unlike plants, mushrooms don't grow in soil. They grow directly on their food source, and we call that the substrate. You can think of it as their dinner plate, and getting that plate just right is the absolute key to success. Seriously, the substrate is the mushroom's entire universe. It's their pantry, their water fountain, and their home, all rolled into one. It's what allows that tiny network of threads, the mycelium, which is the actual body of the fungus, to grow strong and eventually produce the mushrooms we see and eat. It's basically a 5-star, all-inclusive resort for fungi.
And just like people, different mushrooms have their favorite foods. As you can see here, each species has its own preferences. Shiitake mushrooms, for example, they love hardwood. Why? Because in the wild, they evolved to break down the super tough stuff in trees. But then you've got our easygoing friend, the oyster mushroom, which is perfectly happy with a simple meal of straw. It's all about making the right match. Now, before you introduce your mushroom culture to its new home, you've got to clean house. You have to get rid of any competition, like mold. So for simple, low-nutrient substrates like straw, a quick hot water bath, that's pasteurization, is all you need. It's kind of like weeding a garden. But for the really rich stuff, like supplemented hardwood, you got to bring out the big guns. That means a pressure cooker to completely sterilize it and kill off everything else. So, Your mycelium has taken over the substrate, it's happy and fed. Now, your job changes. You get to play Mother Nature. You become an architect of atmosphere. Your goal now is to create the perfect climate to convince your mushrooms that it's time to fruit. Basically, trick them into thinking it's time to reproduce.
And boom, look at that. This right here, this is the payoff. This beautiful flush of mushrooms is exactly what happens when you nail that microclimate. You're basically creating a little slice of a cool, damp autumn day in the forest, which is the mushroom's natural trigger to pop out and say hello. It really is like a little bit of magic.
When it comes to growing mushrooms, humidity is everything. I mean, they're mostly water, so if they dry out, it's game over. For a lot of species, like shiitake, you're going to want to keep that humidity between 60 and 80%. Just think of it like you're creating a tiny, personal rainforest for your fungi. Temperature is another big one, but here's some good news. A lot of mushrooms are pretty flexible. Take shiitake, for example. They're happy to fruit in a pretty huge range of temperatures, from a cool 5 degrees Celsius all the way up to a warm 35. So you don't have to be a meteorologist to get it right.
And just like us, mushrooms have to breathe. They exhale carbon dioxide and they need fresh oxygen. So you have to make sure they get plenty of fresh air. It keeps them healthy and it keeps mold from taking over. But, and this is important, you have to be careful. A strong draft can dry them out in a heartbeat. It's a delicate dance, finding that perfect, gentle balance.
You did it. After all that work and patience, you have a beautiful crop of mushrooms ready for harvest. This is the moment you've been waiting for. The reward is sitting right there in front of you. But before you start celebrating, there is one final critical step. And honestly, it's the most important one of all. I mean, just look at it. You followed every step perfectly. You have this amazing harvest. You did everything right. But what if I told you that this exact moment is the single most dangerous point of the entire process? That one simple mistake, right here, could have absolutely fatal consequences.
You see, the biggest threat in the mushroom world isn't a failed crop. It's not a bit of mold. It's something way, way more sinister. It's the risk of misidentification. Because for every delicious, edible mushroom out there, nature has created a deadly lookalike, a toxic imposter just waiting for an unsuspecting grower or forager to make a mistake.
Just look at this timeline. It's chilling. It shows you the horrifying stages of amatoxin poisoning, like from a death cap mushroom. And you know what the most terrifying part is? That silent attack at the beginning. You could eat one and feel perfectly fine for hours, maybe even a whole day, all while the poison is silently and irreversibly shutting down your liver.
This poison is just cruel. It's a deceptive killer. It works in these 3 stages you see here. First, that silent latency period. Then you get violently ill. And then comes the cruelest trick of all, a false recovery. You actually start to feel better. You think you're through the worst of it, but that's just the calm before the final, devastating storm. Catastrophic liver and kidney failure, which is very often a death sentence. And this brings us to the one single golden rule of the mushroom world. This rule could literally save your life, and it applies whether you've been foraging for 30 years or you're growing your first batch. You have to live by this. There are no second chances. There are no do-overs. There is absolutely no room for error. The world of fungi. It's a world of wonder, of incredible food, of powerful medicine, and just endless possibilities. It's captivated people for centuries, and it's just waiting to be explored. The journey from a single spore to a beautiful harvest is one of the most rewarding things you can do. But it's a journey that demands respect, it demands knowledge, and a very healthy dose of caution. So the question is, are you ready to unlock its secrets? The adventure is waiting.